What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Game Night YouTube channel. In today's video, guys, I am bringing you a Mint 10 game by Galen's Games called Dice Clash. So I just released a video on Mint 10 Monster Mashup that is also a Mint 10 game created by Galen's Games, and this one, Dice Clash, is part of a 4 Mint 10 game series along with Monster Mashup and a couple others that I will be covering on the channel in the near future, and I'll leave a link down below for the Kickstarter so you guys can go support that and get your own copy of Dice Clash and Mint 10 Monster Mashup, and also the other two games that I'm going to cover here in the near future. But in today's video, we are focusing on this one right here, Dice Clash. So this is a very cool little game. You could play it solo player, or you can play a two-player version of the game with one of your friends, and I have done both, and both modes are super, super fun. So the game was created and designed by Galen McCowan, Jonathan Carnell, and Ryan Sromek. And of course, the company name is Galen's Games. On the back of the tin, it says it's for ages 10 and up. It's a 1 to 2 player game. It takes about 20 minutes to play. And it says, epic warriors face off in an intense back and forth battle for immortality. Each die placement is both an attack and a counterattack. Will you outthink and outmaneuver your opponent and earn your place amongst the gods? Very cool stuff. So we're going to go ahead and open up the tin, and we're going to check out everything that is inside. If I can get it open. These tins, I'm used to the tins that are like on little swivel hinges, and they open up really easily. I've had kind of a little bit of trouble with these. There we go. It's probably just me. It's probably just me. Let's go ahead and take all of the dice out. Here, we'll dump these out, and we'll get the cards out. There we go. And we'll set the tin over here to the side for now. Cool. Okay, so this is it. This is the components of the tin right here. You get a bunch of little dice. We'll separate those over this way. There we go. And you get some cards as well. So the dice, you're going to get 12 of these black 6-sided dice right here. Whenever you're playing the 2-player variant, you're going to get 6 of them, and your opponent will get the other 6. And then there's 4 white dice. You'll get 2. Your opponent will get 2, and then there's 2 red dice. You'll get 1, and your opponent will get 1 of those as well, and we'll go over that in just a moment. And then we've got some cards over here, and we have some little, like, accordion-style rule books right here. So this one is for the character powers. So you're going to have different characters in the game, and they will have special abilities that you can use, and those are all listed here on this little accordion card booklet right here, which is really nice. And then you've got the rule book right here. Same deal, so like an accordion style little card rule book here. So you can see you've got all of that there. And then on the flip side as well, it shows you exactly how to play the game. There's even like a little QR code that you can scan right here. It says if you're still not quite sure how to play, you can scan that, and it'll bring you to a tutorial, but you're already on one. So hopefully you won't need to do that after watching this video. And then the rest of the cards, we got these right here. So let's set these off to the side. These are your little dice grids for your characters. And then you've got your different characters that you can choose from right here. You've got a ninja, a Spartan, a samurai, a Viking, a Highlander, and a knight. And then you've got these 2 extra characters right here that you can play against as like AI characters if you're playing solo player. So you could play against the Daji or the Cthulhan over here. And I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, but you've got these 2 right here, and then they have their own little dice grids that go with those characters. So you could play against these in the single player variant of the game. So essentially the way the game works, if you play the single or 2-player variant of the game, it's very, very similar. I'll just set these off to the side for now, and I'll show you how you play 2-player with a friend. We'll set these off to the side as well. There we go. Okay, so if you play with a friend, you're going to get your 6 black dice here. They're going to get their 6 black dice. Then 2 white dice per player, and then the 1 red dice per player. And those will do some different things, which I'll explain. Then you're each going to pick from one of these 6 different characters. So let's say that we pick the knight, and our friend picks the ninja. You'll take the other cards. You'll set them off to the side. You won't be using those. And then you'll see up in the top left corner next to the name of the character, it has like a little symbol or a sigil, and you're gonna go ahead and look through these dice grids and pick the matching sigil. So here we've got the shield for the knight, and then for the ninja, it's got the throwing star right there. And then we'll take the rest of the dice grids and set them off to the side. Cool. So typically you would have your character over this way, you'll have your dice grid here, and then your opponent or your buddy will have their character and dice grid set up over there on the other side. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take all of your dice. Both players are going to take all of their dice. They're going to roll them, and they're going to keep them hidden. So what I like to do, and the easiest thing to do really, is to just use one of your hands to just kind of cup the dice and keep it hidden so that your opponent can't see. And that is going to be your dice pool. So of course your opponent would do the same thing. They would roll, and then they would keep their dice hidden. So it's almost like a hand of cards. It's hidden information. And then to start the game, one of you would, you could play rock, paper, scissors to see who goes first. You could roll a die before you end up rolling all your dice pool to see who goes first. And let's just say in this instance, we get to go first. So what you do is you're going to take one of your dice and you're going to put it on any space on your grid, and you're basically attacking your opponent with that number. So the general gist of it is when you attack with a number, your opponent needs to respond by playing a number on one of their dice that is higher than the number that you played in order to defend. And that number will also act as a counterattack. So here, I'll show you an example of that. So let's say that we take, this 2 right here, and we're just going to place it on this middle square on the grid right here. It won't modify our dice at all. And we're going to go over the other little symbols here in a moment. We would be attacking for 2. So our opponent needs to put down a dice that's 3 or higher. Now, let's say they wanted to put down this 4 right here, and they play it on their middle square that is blank. So they're defending for 4, so they've successfully defended our attack, and now they're counterattacking us for 4. So now we need to play a die that's 5 or higher, because it needs to be higher than their die. And play is going to keep going back and forth like this between you and your opponent until one of you cannot place a die, in which case that player gets hit. When a player gets hit, let's say that we hit our opponent, you flip over their character card to the adrenaline side, and you also flip over their dice grid to the adrenaline side, and they'll have some new little symbols here available to them. So let's go over those symbols now. So there's not very many, it's pretty easy. The ones with the red, so as you can see here, we've got like a little red, ooh, that might be out of focus. Let me put that back down here for you. I'll just zoom in. I'll go into editing mode and zoom in. We've got a +1 on that red sword. That is going to add to your attack. So in that first example, if we were to play a 2 right there on that +1 attack, we're actually attacking for 3. The ones that have the shield, it's like a little green shield, that's going to add to your defense. So let's say that our opponent was attacking us for 4, we could take our 4 right here and we could put it on this +2 shield. So we're actually defending for 6, but now counterattacking for 4. So the little green shields will add to your defense when you block. And then you've got some other little symbols here, like this dice that has the plus or -1. That just means when you put a die on there, you can modify it up or down by 1. So if we were to play the 2 there, we could either change it down to a 1, or we could change it up to a 3, like so. Some of them you'll also see, they might say +2. Here, let's see if I can find one over here. Because that's the cool thing too, is all the grids have like different little symbols on them. Like for this one right here, this one says +2. So if you were to play as this character, which I believe is a Spartan, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, if you were playing as the Spartan character, and let's say that you put your 2 on this space right here with the +2, it would go up to a 4. You would just add 2 to whatever die you put on there. Cool. So that's the way those work. And then you've also got this one right here. It's like a die with a little green circle arrow going around it. That means that you take the die that you place there and you flip it upside down to the face on the opposite side of the die. So you could potentially turn like a 1 into a 6 or a 6 into a 1, and so on and so forth. Over here, this one, it's got like a mirror with these 2 little dice on either side. That basically means that if there is a dice that is orthogonally adjacent to it, so, in one of the cardinal directions, not diagonal, either to the left, right, up, or down, you can change the die that you place on this space to one of those. So let's say we had a 6 here and a 4 right there. If we place this 1 on that space, I could change this die to a 4 or a 6 since it is orthogonally adjacent to one of those dice right there. And that's all the symbols on this card. Let's see if this one has any other ones. Yeah, so this one right here, it's got a die with like little yellow arrows pointing in each direction. What that means is that, let's say we had some other dice on the grid already. If you put a die on that space, you can take one of your other dice that's already on the grid and you can move it to any other space on the grid. So let's say that we wanted to have access again to this +1 defense. Maybe we would take this 6 and like move it over here to the blank so that it opens up that space again. So that's what that little symbol right there does. And I think that might be it for those. Let's see and make sure that there's not any other ones on here that we're missing out on. I think that is it. Yeah, there's really not too many of them. And then you'll see when you flip it to the adrenaline side of the card, we've got another symbol that shows up right here in the middle, and it's got that eye. It's like a little eye sigil symbol. When you place a die there, that allows you to look at your your opponent's dice pool. So they'll have to remove their hand, and you'll get to peek at their dice pool, which is going to give you some very valuable information. Cool, there we go. And let me make sure that there aren't any other ones. So when you're playing against the AI, there are a couple other little symbols here. So like when it shows a dice value like this, like it's got the 6, when they are to place their die on that space, doesn't matter what the value of the die is, it will change to that value. So in this case, if they played this 2, it would change to a 6. If you ever see one that's got a slash through it like that, like a white slash, you can pick either one. So if you were to play that 2 here, you could either change it up to a 6, or you could choose the +1 defense. Same here. If you played it to this space, you can give it the +1 attack, or you can give it +1 defense. So that is how those are going to work. Cool. So that's, I'm pretty sure, all of the little symbols on the cards. Pretty simple. And then the other thing to mention too is that your character will have a special ability. So your special ability is listed on the bottom of the card. Right here it says basic ability. And the way that you activate that basic ability is when you place your red die on the grid. So anytime you place the red die on the grid, it's going to automatically activate your character's ability. And it's got some helpful little symbols, like little images down here to kind of guide you as to what it does, and you'll memorize them pretty quickly. But for starters, it's probably best to just take out the Dice Clash character powers little folio here, and then we can see we're playing as the knight. So switch stance, that is our basic ability here, and then it tells you what to do. Remove any other die from your grid, re-roll it, and return it to your pool. Cool. And then, of course, when you get hit and your character gets flipped to the adrenaline side, you'll get a different ability here. So this one, adrenaline ability, is high guard. So then the knight gets their high guard ability, which says your opponent takes any die from their pool and uses it to cover up a space on their grid. It's pretty cool. So all the characters are going to have their own unique abilities. Cool. There we go. And then the last thing to mention too is the dice. So when you place the red dice, it's going to activate your special ability. If you place one of the black dice, it does nothing. They're just like basic dice. When you place one of the white dice, that is going to make you re-roll all of your dice. So you do not have a choice. When you place a white dice, you have to take all of your dice and re-roll them, and you get a new dice pool. Sometimes you want to activate that intentionally because maybe your dice aren't that great and you want to re-roll and get some better numbers. Sometimes you're forced to use a white dice when you don't want to, and it makes you re-roll, and you might have some good numbers. So it adds a lot of variability to the game. Adds a little bit of tension to the game, and some strategy too, which is really, really cool. And that is basically the gist of it. So you're going to keep going back and forth, attacking one another until one of you gets hit. Let's say that we get hit, we get flipped to this side. We battle back and forth a little bit more, and if we get hit again, we lose the game. Of course, if we hit our opponent, they would get flipped to their adrenaline side, and then at that point, it's whoever gets hit again for the second time is going to lose, and then yeah, the other player will win the game. So that's basically it. You got two chances. Once you get hit twice, you are out. And then when you're playing the single player mode, it's very similar. So let's go ahead and set this one off to the side. And for the single player mode, you would set up this character here, and then you would find oh, I'm sorry, that is not the right one. It is, where'd they go? They're hiding over here. Here they are. We're going to set up Daji, and then it's got this little sigil here. So we're going to take the matching sigil and place it here. And then whenever you roll, or whenever you play against the AI opponent, you're going to do it just like you do if you're playing against a person. You're going to roll all of your dice, and then you'll have your dice pool. Obviously, you don't have to hide them. And when you roll for the AI opponent, you're going to take their 2 white dice and you're going to set them to the side, and then you're going to treat their red dice as if it was a black die. It's basically the same. So when you place their red die, it's not going to trigger their ability. Their ability will get triggered when you place a die on that middle space that's got the red die with like the flames around it. So whenever a die gets placed on that middle space, that's what's going to activate their ability, not placing the red die. It could even be a black one. When you place it there, it'll activate their ability, or a white die. And for them, you're not going to roll all their dice at once. You're actually going to roll 1 die at a time. So let's say that we go first, right? We rolled our dice. They're not great. We're going to go ahead and place a 3. Let's say that we place a 3 on this +1 attack. So we're attacking for 4. So you would take one of their dice, you would roll it, and they got a 5. And the way the AI is going to work is they're going to start in this top left corner, move to the right, and then go down to the second row to the left, move to the right, then down to the bottom row, and move to the right. So it's going to go like that, from left to right, top to bottom. You're going to want to place this dice in any space that is advantageous to the opponent and will allow them to defend. So in this case, we're going to start up here. We attacked for 3 plus the 1 attack is 4. So they can defend with a 5 in this blank space right there. So they've defended with 5, and they're counterattacking us for 5. An important thing to mention too is that sometimes you or your opponent or the AI opponent will play a 6, or sometimes they might even play a 6 that gives on a space that gives them +1 attack or +2 attack, so they're attacking for 7 or 8. The only way to stop that, essentially, unless you've got a 6 that you can play on a defense that is higher than their attack number, is you can use a 1 to parry. So when you play a 1, that'll parry a 6 or higher. You can't play a 1 against, you can't parry a 5 or below. It's got to be a 6 or higher. So there's always like at least some hope, some way out. If you have a 1, you can parry that 6 or higher attack. So in this case, though, they're attacking for 5. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take this white dice here, this white 5, and I'm going to play it on this space that gives ±1 to one of our dice. So we're going to make this up into a 6. We're playing a white dice, so that means that we have to re-roll our dice, which is good because we had a bunch of 1s, which I don't like. There we go. Okay, it's a little bit better. And so we have defended for 6. We played a number that is higher than their attack, and now we're counterattacking for 6. So the opponent is now going to take one of their dice. They're going to roll. They roll 1 die at a time when you're playing against the AI. And now, if they put this 3 here on this 6, it's going to turn it into a 6, but that's not enough to stop our 6 attack. If they play it here, that's not enough. I don't know if there's actually anywhere that they can play it that's going to be enough. Can they flip it? No, there's actually nowhere that they can play it. So the opponent would actually take a damage, because if you go through the line, all of these, there's nothing that they can do. Oh, actually, there is something that they can do, guys. I just realized. So they can't do anything on this row that would stop it, but once they get to this space here, they can change the die to a 1, or they can flip the die to the reverse side, which would be a 4. So they're going to change this 3 into a 1, and they have parried. There we go. Cool. So they parry the 6, and they're counterattacking for 1. So then we would go ahead and place, I guess we're going to place this 2 here in this blank spot. So we're defending for 2, and we're counterattacking for 2. And again, play will go back and forth like this until the AI opponent cannot place a dice on any of their spaces. And of course, you always start from the top left and work your way down from left to right, top to bottom. Once they can't play anything, they will flip their card over to the adrenaline side, just like if you're playing against a real player, and then play continues on until one player gets hit twice and they're out of the game and the other player wins. And that is literally it, guys. That is Dice Clash. It is very, very simple. One other thing to mention too is when you're playing against the AI opponent, if there are no dice over here that they can use from their black and red pool, they're going to take one of their white dice and they're going to roll it. And if they can't use it, they'll grab the other white dice and roll that one too. If they can use it, then they'll use the white dice. It's not going to make them re-roll their dice, but it will get added to their dice pool. So these two will always start off to the side. If at any point you can't place one of their black or the red dice, then you grab the white dice, and then those will get added to their dice pool over here, like so. And that is it, guys. That is the game in a nutshell. It is very, very fun. It's very simple, but it is extremely fun, and it's got a lot of strategy to it, a lot of back and forth to it. It feels really cool, especially like because the attacks are like getting stronger every time you attack. You're defending with a higher number, but then counterattacking with that same higher number. So it kind of like builds up and builds up. And then sometimes it'll go up to like a 6 or higher for the attack. And you can use a 1 to parry, and it kind of resets things. And then you keep going back and forth until one player can't place a dice and they get hit. And then they go to their adrenaline side. And that is it, guys. That is Dice Clash. There's not too much to say about this one because it is such an elegant design. It is very, very well designed and super, super simple and very easy to teach and learn how to play. And it is extremely fun. So that is it right there, guys. You get the 2 AI opponents with their dice grids right here. You get the 6 playable characters and their 6 dice grids right here. And you could play against the buddy. You could play against the AI in solo mode. Got all your dice, your tin, and of course, you've got your instruction booklet and the character power guide right here. And that is all of it right there, dude. So if this looks like something you're interested in, there's going to be a link down in the description. You can go ahead and check that out and get your own copy of this game by supporting the Kickstarter. And you'll have the option to also purchase the other 3 Mint Tin games in this series from Galen's Games, including Mint Tin Monster Mashup, which I have a video on my channel for, so you can go ahead and check that out if you're interested in that one. So there it is, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Be sure to hit that thumbs up like button, click the red subscribe button, and click the bell to stay notified every time I upload brand new videos. And I'll have those other 2 Galen's Games Mint Tin games coming to the channel very soon, so be on the lookout for that. And until then, have a good one, and I'll see you guys in the next video.